that if he said that first week when he was eating sweets, that would come from his outer part. Yes, it's a good moral lesson. It was wise. But if he waited until he wasn't eating sweet, until he was living the truth that he was going to present, then the power would be so much more. And that's what we need to look for. Linda brought this up the other couple weeks ago when she spoke, that in our treatment series, we often just go through it. But that first part is supposed to be a meditation. It's supposed to bring you deep down. Because we have power. We all have this power. Like the power of dynamite. There's another kind of bomb. I didn't bring one of these with me either. It's called a nuclear bomb. Yes, we've invented those too. But they have a lesson too for us. Because a nuclear bomb doesn't get its energy from the outside, from the electrons. It comes from the inside of the atom, from the nucleus. It comes in a releasing of what's called the weak force, a slight misnomer, I would guess, in the breakup of the nucleus. The most powerful nuclear bombs now are 400 million times more powerful than dynamite. Wow. Let me tell you another story. About a young man centuries ago, and he went off to war. He was going to be a hero, and he lived in a small village. And he came back, and people were saying, "That's wonderful, you went out and fought and you're back." But his life had changed. He had been a happy, carefree young man, and he came back, and he had seen the atrocities of war. He had seen the murder and the slaughter and the innocents killed. And it just gripped him. And he couldn't sleep. He would wake up at night. He would have these horrible flashback thoughts of this monstrous war. And so finally, he went to this wise man of the village and said, "Help me with this, please." And the man said, "Well, every morning go down to the river. It has this cold flow, this cold water, and immerse yourself into the river and let it wash these bad memories away from you." And so he did that every morning, and it was okay. And now he could sleep. He was feeling better, but it didn't last. And these came back. And they said, "Well, there's this shaman that lives over here. Go see her. She's very wise. Maybe she can help him." He went to her and she said, "Every day climb the mountain. This mountain that's right here, because in the evening, this cool, fresh wind comes in. And breathe it in and let it blow out all of this badness, this sickness that's in you." And so he did that, and he stood up there, and it was beautiful. And he would inhale this beautiful wind coming through, and he was better. And he slept, and he felt good, except it didn't last. And he didn't know what to do, and he's wandering around the village, and he passes this old lady that's sitting there on the sidewalk, who he'd known all of his life. And he sat down beside her, and she recognized him and gave him some tea, and he said, "I've known your life. I know that years ago when the plague came through, 2 of your young children died right in your arms as you tried to save them. And I know that your husband was in this horrible accident, and they brought him home, and he died in pain right there. And yet, I walk by here every day, and I know that you went blind. And I walk by here every day, and I see you sitting out here. And when friends come by and talk to you, and you recognize them, you invite them over, and you laugh with them, and you're having a joyous time. How could this possibly be with all of these horrible things that you saw?" And she said, yes, these things happened, and they destroyed me inside, and I went off all over. I wandered to village after village after village looking for someone to help me, and they gave me chants to do, and they gave me ceremonies, and they gave me medicines, but none of it worked. And I thought I was going to go crazy. She said, I started losing my sight, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't wander out anymore. And so I sat here, and the less light I had from the inside, the more I looked from the outside, the more I looked to the inside. And inside, I found a more pure, powerful light than anything I'd seen on the outside. And when I went inside, I found that power that could bring me back the joy of life. And I say this is something that all of us have access to. We can learn this by applying ourselves to it. We can know that the world is as it is, physically, spiritually, in our lives. And yet, we choose every single moment what we're going to live. Joy or sorrow. And that we have access to power, a tremendous power, not from the outside, but only deep, deep, deep within. And if we go in and access that power, we will shine forth a light that will light the world. And so it is.